Um, so I have been interested in what makes a good life, or how one lives a life full of meaning, how one lives an intentional life. And I sought to answer these questions in various ways. Um, Out of high school, I served in the Marine Corps, and I wanted to help others and serve a higher purpose, give back to the community. In undergraduate and graduate school, I studied philosophy, and in that read about ethics and morality, theories of the mind, existential and phenomenological problems. And all of these felt partially on the right track, but I missed some of the practical impact of these theories and how to actually impact human lives. I kind of wanted to find a place where the rubber hit the road. While I was at my university, I began to see a school psychologist who identified as a psychodynamic practitioner. And that had been the first time I had ever heard that term used, and I didn't know what it meant. I feel like I still don't know what it means, but for different ways. But I had seen many therapists before her, and yet she feels like my first, like it all began with her. And so this wonderfully transformative period, I felt myself seen, like a mother who watches her newborn, or heard as like an orchestral conductor listening to the piece of music being played. And I felt held in ways that I didn't know I needed until she gave them to me. And so I wanted to give that back and pay that forwards and help others in the ways that she helped me.
Kyle, that's absolutely amazing. I'm like sitting in awe as I listen to you share what brought, and I hear so much Winnicott in there, and just the holding and just the mothering in those aspects, and you said it a little bit of like this idea of living a full life, or how that really hit home with me, and yeah, to know that. Yeah, what is this psychodynamic, right? Like, what is this? And like you say, I think many of us are still figuring out what that means. But what an amazing journey, that got you here. And I know we're a day after, but happy Veterans Day to you. We thank you so much for your services and all that you've done for us as a country. So we just want to celebrate you in this moment. Thank you so much, Kyle. For you, Virginia, what led you to ICSW?
Yeah, it's funny hearing Renee talk about her studying business finance is very near and dear to my heart, because I came from corporate finance. So it's a bit of a very different route to get here. But much like Kyle, I feel like for a lot of us, actually, it starts with our own work. And so my therapist, who, a little bit of a mentor as well, he introduced me to ICSW and just kind of helped illuminate that this was a path, and talked to me about his experience and introduced me to some faculty. And I will say, like, we have some fantastic faculty here. So it's really been such a privilege to learn from everyone. And I mean, before starting, I had quite a long evaluation period where I spent, I think, a few years kind of looking at, like, should I do it? Should I not? And so, but I at the time, I was heavily influenced by Martin Bergman, who I used to refer to as my psychoanalytic sweetheart, which I'm sure you will all read into. But I really appreciated, his close attention to the familial trauma and the generations after the Holocaust and the work that could be done there. And it really just spoke to some interests of mine. And like Kyle, really seeing the individual and sitting with the individual, and coming from a corporate background, looking for something very tangible, something where you could really sit and understand a person. And I think that's such a privilege of our work, is we really do get to sit with people as they are. So it's quite an interesting path here, but so happy to be here now.
Yeah, right. Getting to sit with people where they are, like, I think that's such a profound statement. And you're right, for both you and Renee have stated this, moving from corporate America, into, or just the financial parts of it, like, oh, this is so new and so different, right? It's literally black and white. But yeah, and I could just imagine, again, for you, just what that experience has been like, making that transition and feeling as though you've landed in that place where you should be. So that is amazing. Thank you, Virginia. And Michael, yeah, what has led you to ICSW?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for asking the question. And again, I echo everybody's sentiments. Kyle, thank you again for your service. Definitely appreciate that. My father-in-law is in the Marine, but my dad's in the Army. So I definitely appreciate all the sacrifice. In regards to what led me to ICSW, I actually come from a social work background, but primarily my training was in CDT. So very behavioral, very tangible, right? Like just really focusing on how can we just change the thoughts, solve the problem, and we are good to go. And that is no shot at any, behavioral practitioner. I love it still to this day. But for me, I wanted something more. I was working in a psych hospital, so working a lot with suicidal ideations, homicidal ideations, and just seeing, young people coming back through that cycle of being hospitalized over and over, especially our people of color, who often went unseen, unheard, and just totally misunderstood. So I was like, man, I as a clinician of color, I felt that responsibility. If I have the ability and the drive, I got to do it. So it was a no-brainer. I always wanted to become a doctor and receive a doctorate just to inspire others that, hey, it's possible. In Indiana, it's a little less urban where I am. So a lot of times having that image just meant so much, even as an intern, right? Hearing like, oh, you're the first Black therapist I've seen. And this kid is 17, been in therapy since 5 years old. So to be able to speak to him or her or them and identify, hey, what are the core issues? What is really driving a lot of this pain, and be able to help them move towards healing. When ICSW said that in the mission statement, I was all in.
Yeah. Getting to the core, right? Like I think we've all experienced that, and Renee spoke a little bit about that too, of just, hey, what's really going on here, right? Like how do we get to the core of that? And again, finding a place such as ICSW that's a part of their mission statement, that's a part of who and what they are. It becomes, yeah, now I have this in my practice, but now I'm learning more about it in an in-depth way, and to be able to apply that with your clients is absolutely amazing. Yeah, thank you guys so much for that. Our next question, and I'm going to start with our master level students with this question. When you think about how your professional experience and what that journey has been like, how would you say what your expectations have been of ICSW? How does those match? How does that match your professional experience? Yeah, so how would you say what your expectations were about ICSW? How has that matched your professional experience? And any of our master students can start us off.
I'll go.
Please.
So when I think about my expectation and my professional experience, I think in the beginning, and my classmates can attest to this, I really had to, I was really working on managing my social work brain. When I was presented with a problem, let me fix it. Like, this is what needs to get, and I was always fascinated with how my classmates were adapting and learning how to make interpretations and take the patience and the time to sort of sit with what they're being presented. And that was what I needed. And that's what I continue to appreciate. And I also am reassured that my social work brain is still valuable. There's still usefulness to it.